Hi Critter friends, this is Soraya and thank you so much for being here. So I allowed this to completely dry, and before I dive into this, I just wanted to show you this little, I guess painting you would call it, that I did. And now this was the other piece to this. So if you go back like to the, like the series, I started off by putting these two pieces of blank paper side by side, and so I just worked going back and forth. But I did not record this, but I worked on this spread over here, and this is the spread that I did record, and it's obviously not complete. But I just wanted to show you that even though this is half complete and this is, I want to say it's complete, there are similarities to it. It's because I started it together and I did everything pretty much just going back and forth. So you can see the similarities, whether it's, the colors, the lines over here, like you can see that this kind of would go in a same grouping, if you will. So if you want to work on, say, a whole bunch of paintings at one time, and you want to have a group of paintings that all kind of go together, they're not matchy, but they look like they would all kind of fit together in a collection, then working in this way is so beneficial, because they're gonna just have those inherent similarities just by you working on, say, 10 pieces all at once. There are so many great reasons to work like this, and I don't think that it takes away anything from your creativity or your originality, none of those things. If you remain true to your visual language and to the way you're working and what you want to say, etc., etc., it's not going to detract from any of your pieces. It's only going to add to your pieces. That is my that is the way I look at it, and that has been my experience. And you don't have to do a portrait. Like, this would be great for landscapes or still lifes or abstracts or anything. It doesn't have to be a portrait. And I'm with this piece over here, I'm probably going to rip it up and use it as collage, because there are pieces that I really love. Like, I really do love this part over here. I might cut it out and hot glue it into an art journal of mine. There's so many different ways that I could use this piece. So it's not like it's wasted in any capacity. And furthermore, because I learned from it, I don't consider it like a waste of time or resources or anything like that. But I just wanted to point out that these two pieces started off together. Anyways, I'm so sorry for that big long spiel, you guys, but sometimes it's important to kind of just point things out. So I'm just gonna dive right in over here and, build up the face. I'm trying to figure out my background color, because that was something that was a sticking point when I left it. And before I turned the camera on, I was kind of looking at it and trying to figure out, like, what color do I want the background to be. And part of me wants it to be a black, like a really dark color, and then another part wants it to be more of a gray tone. So I'm just kind of like turning those two options over in my mind, I guess, trying to figure out a black. A black would really make the skin tones pop. So I think I'm gonna go with the black. And I did want to keep this part here, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to. There's not much room. Like, this is a pretty small piece of paper, and the figure is taking up like so much of it that I don't think I can save this piece. I think I'm just gonna have to cover it up. Maybe if it was a bigger piece of paper, I could do that, but it's okay. Sometimes you just have to do that. That's just the way it goes. And I'm trying not to like make things too puddly here. Now I do like all the designs on the hair. Like I really am loving that. So you guys, seems to be a good entry point for me to talk about one of the great reasons from a creative point of view to work in this way. So just say that I had started off, so I'm gonna talk while I work. So just say I had started off with a blank sheet of paper, and in my head I kind of got this kind of idea like, hey, I want to do a portrait. And you know, I might have picked out my color palette. So I picked out these particular colors here, and I got out my Stabilo and I started, you know, sketching in my figure, and then I started painting. That is a completely different process than what I did with the way I started this off. When I started this off, I was just like, just being present. I wasn't thinking about, oh, I'm gonna paint a lady and, you know, this part is gonna be the hair and this part is gonna be the dress and blah, blah, blah. I wasn't thinking that. I was just simply just immersing myself in the joy of line and color, and I was just having fun and just being in the moment. And if I had to just start off with a blank piece of paper, I would not think to make this, you know, situation going on here for the hair. I would not think to do this. I mean, I might consciously decide to do certain things, sure, but it wouldn't end up in this way, is my point. So I just feel like there's no right or wrong. It's just a different way of working. And, you know, if some people want to start off with a blank page, then that's what works for them. But for me personally, because when I first started, like many years ago, I took watercolor classes, and it was traditional watercolor, and that's where you know, you do very detailed sketches, you retain your whites, because in traditional watercolor, I don't know if it's different now, but I know when I took classes, traditional watercolor frowns upon, you know, using white paint like wash to bring back the whites once you've lost it. Like you need to retain the whites of the paper, and there's a lot of planning. There's no spontaneity or very little of it, because everything is planned out. And there's nothing wrong with working like that. I mean, I really love traditional watercolors. I love looking at them, and you know, it's just a beautiful thing, art form. That being said, I didn't like working like that. And that's one of the things I love about mixed media, is just the happy little accidents that can happen. You know, you just never know what's going to happen. And working in this way is a perfect example of that. Like, there's no way I could have predicted that, oh, well, I'm going to use this for my hair. And I really love that. And even the dress, I really love the way the dress turned out. So yeah, I think working like this is just so beautiful, because you open yourself up to possibilities and happy little accidents. And just that sense of like, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how things are going to turn out. And I love that. Now things are bleeding here, so I might need to stop and let this dry. I didn't mean for this to go into so many videos, but sometimes things just take however long they take. going to like, and probably when it dries, I'm gonna like cut it on the top there so that the top part, this serrated part here, or whatever, you know, it's just the little holes here. I'm just gonna cut that off. Anyways, you guys, I'm gonna bring this up closer so you can see some of the deliciousness that's going on, and then I am going to stop it right here because I want everything to dry. And if this video is too short, then what I'm going to do is I'll post 2 of them in a day. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.